there might not be a worse feeling in fantasy football when you draft a running back that you're relying on for production and he starts getting phased out of the offense. The backup is just so much better. The coaching staff starts to give him more and more work, and you're just in denial. You're trying to make trades. You're trying to dump this dude off your team, but nobody wants to trade with you, man. So in this video, we're going to talk about running backs that are going to lose their starting job. And these are dudes that you should just avoid, man. They're high risk players. Maybe they showed a little bit of decline. So in this video, I did some research, man. I wanted to approach 2025 with the goal of avoiding those guys, man. I don't want to be in that situation again where I'm just watching my dudes slowly start to lose value. Now, my philosophy in fantasy football, I'm going to cover this entirely in another video, is that you want to draft for the second half of the season, right? You want to win fantasy championships. And with that in mind, dude, don't draft with like, all right, this dude's going to get week one volume with it when there's rookies behind them, bro. You want to draft for the end of the season, man. There's always those rookies or those, under the radar players that end up taking starting jobs. So I did some research, bro. I crunched the numbers. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at previous seasons. It's not a huge sample size, I will admit, but I wanted to look at like what's the profile of a player who loses his starting job. I feel like there's some commonalities, there's some common denominators. There's a little bit of a persona that we can start to create for a running back that matches that profile. So looking back at the past couple seasons, I'm going to shotgun off these names, man. We have Rachaad White in 2024. Now, there's going to be some commonalities here. Just keep in mind. Inefficient runner. He was replaced by an exciting rookie, right? Bucky Irving. We already know what happened. Zach Moss, 2024 as well. He was recently a free agent signing for them. So they pick him up from the Colts. He was inefficient. He wasn't very explosive. He gets replaced by a young, dynamic, explosive running back, right? And Chase Brown. We then have Gus Edwards, also a free agent signing the summer right before that. 28 years old, not very explosive, didn't really have big play potential, loses his job pretty much to J.K. Dobbins, who provides so much more for the Chargers offense. Devin Singletary, another free agent signing from the summer before, inefficient in 2 of the 4 games as a starter, ends up hurting his, I believe his ankle, I can't remember, and he ends up just getting supplanted by Tyron Tracy, right? Zamir White was fucking cat shit from the beginning. I don't know why anyone was drafting him. He was like the perfect fade from pretty much everyone. Inefficient, not explosive. He was really just a volume-based running back too. The perfect type of profile you want to avoid in general. And, didn't have a lot of draft capital. He wasn't like a big household name, right? And even, to rub salt in the wound, he was replaced by also inefficient runners. That's how bad Zamir White was. He was replaced by fucking Alexander Madison. And then eventually he gets replaced by Amir Abdullah, who at 31 years old was like the only dude who had a little bit of juice left, right? So, I mean, the Raiders might be an outlier there. Ezekiel Elliott, also a free agent signing. I know he was returning to the Cowboys, but he was a free agent signing, right? And he was old, inefficient. Dude, he was cooked. I mean, he was replaced by a slightly more explosive Rico Dowdle. Also not the most dynamic player in his own right. And then we have, going back to 2023, I just have a couple names here. I didn't want to go too deep on this, but we have Cam Akers, again, inefficient runner. To put it in perspective, in week 1, Cam Akers had 22 carries for 29 yards in week 1. He did not play after week 1. It was Kyron Williams the rest of the year in 2023. Whoever drafted or picked up Kyron off of waivers, you'd remember how great Kyron was that year. So Miles Sanders also in 2023, he was also a free agent signing, inefficient. He had less than 3 yards per carry in 2 games in a row, and then they're like, fuck it, dude. He had receptions as well, like 6, 5, and then 9 receptions. Did nothing with them. Never had over 30 or never had over 40 receiving yards with all that work. So he was just super inefficient. They replaced him with Chuba, who ends up being infinitely better, bro. More efficient, just much better. So we also have one more, Dameon Pierce in 2023. Again, inefficient runner. He had that pop-off rookie season, but in 2023... very inefficient, dude. He was getting the work. He was getting over 10 carries, 15, 14, 24, 20. Never had over 90 rushing yards. So the inefficiency, man, that seems to be like a core common denominator that we keep seeing. And with all that in mind, I decided to narrow down to 4 criteria. So we have inefficient rushers, right? Inefficient runners is how I like to say it. We have a free agent signing the summer prior, right? Were they recently signed by this team? Are they like a nomadic player? Did they move from another team? Like, I don't know what that tells me, dude, is that if another team is moving on from a player, usually there's something there, right? There's a little bit of a foggy outlook for the player, in my opinion, right? So that's number two. Number three, dynamic younger running back behind them. Not always, but for the most part, they get replaced by somebody who's a little bit more dynamic, more of an efficient runner, can actually force some missed tackles. And the fourth thing is bonus points. It doesn't happen all the time, but is the team struggling early? Like, are they not doing very well? And they just need to make some changes, right? The coaching staff is like, I need to make some changes or I'm going to lose my fucking job. So that's just a bonus one, right? And with that in mind, we now have our persona of what a replaceable unemployment line running back looks like. And the first name on this list is Najee Harris. 27 years old, gets signed by the Chargers for about 9.5 million. Last year as the starter, he was pretty much the starter for the Steelers. RB20, 12 fantasy points per game. He gets 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 36 receptions. Actually, not too bad for like 283 yards, no receiving touchdowns though. And he was pretty inefficient, man. He's never been the most inefficient running back. He's always kind of relied on volume. He like, especially that first season. I don't know if you guys remember when he was on the Steelers, when he got drafted. He was a high volume running back, very inefficient, but he got so many carries, so many targets. That's why he was a very good and then highly drafted running back the year after that, right? So he gets signed to this team, right? So he's an inefficient runner. He's a recent free agent signing. They have, and then I'm going to cover the third point after this, but they draft one of the best running backs in the class in the first round, Omarion Hampton, just chilling behind Najee, who has a 3-down skill set, right? So that's 3 out of 3 that he matches. And then are they going to struggle? I think they might, dude. I think they might. Looking at their schedule, they play against Kansas City in week 1. That can be an absolute stalwart defense that just stops the run completely. You never know, though. Those games can always end up being shootouts. You have Vegas. Okay, that could be a win. Then you have Denver, New York, Washington, Miami. So as I mentioned, dude, Omarion Hampton, an absolute speed demon, an absolute athletic freak. There seems to be a trend in the NFL that's going toward very athletic, very dynamic running backs being drafted, and they're being targeted in drafts, man. So it looks like the NFL is going toward like speed. We want our running backs to be able to break off big runs and, hit the corner, hit the speed, because linebackers are getting smaller. There's a lot more defenses that are trying to sell out using speed rather than like power, these huge, massive, like lane clogging linebackers, right? So Omarion Hampton is him, dude. He was one of the, better prospects in college football. And now he joins a team where he's just a better version of Najee. He's better and younger. So I think he can easily be like the third down back out of the gate, with him eventually just taking over this starting job. So Najee Harris just fits that profile for me completely. Let me know what you guys think, man, because I know a lot of people are high on Najee, that they think he's too big of a name. He was too highly drafted. He's too productive in college, and he was also pretty productive last season. There's no way he loses his job this year. It could just be a nasty committee the whole season, but I disagree. And that brings us to the next player, which is Ramondre Stevenson. This one is also pretty easy. It's low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, he was an inefficient runner since his rookie season. It's just been on a downtrend ever since. His yards per carry was 4.0 in 2023 and then 3.9 in 2024. His PFF grade was only 69 last year, 35th among 59 qualifying running backs. He had 7 fumbles, man. So that's very bad, dude. So he's an inefficient runner. He meets the standard. Now, he wasn't a free agent signing for them, so he's not new to the team, but he did sign an extension last offseason. It was 4-year, $36 million, so not too crazy, $9 million a year. He's actually getting paid less than Najee Harris, funnily enough. And then, obviously, dynamic, fucking very good rookie sitting behind them. Trevion Henderson gets drafted in the second round, 6.37 yards per carry in college. Massive, massive big play potential, extremely fast. He has the perfect type of third down profile of a dude who can also take over 3-down work and just be like a workhorse back for this Patriots team. Especially if Ramondre continues fumbling, man. If Ramondre keeps putting the ball on the turf, it's fucking GG no re, dude. It's night for Ramondre. He's going to lose his job quicker than we think. And just the fact that this team is, I wouldn't say they're in a rebuild. I mean, yeah, they are, right? They're essentially in a rebuild. They have Drake May, a nice cornerstone piece for the team. They don't really have many receivers. We don't know yet. Kyle Williams could be something. Polk could be something. I doubt it, though. But Trevion Henderson is the future with May. And that's how the team should build their team moving forward. And then in terms of whether the team's going to struggle, I mean, they're projected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, which means it's very possible that they're just bad the entire season, right? And then the team's like, all right, let's see what we got in Trevion the rest of the season, right? Let's move away from Ramondre. So I just think, Trevion Henderson, man, as I mentioned, just looking at his profile alone, I don't really need to say too much about him. He ran a 4.38, 96.3 grade on gap runs, elite burst, breakaway potential, everything, dude. He's got the whole shebang. And that's why I can just imagine him taking over this role, right? Even considering that Josh McDaniels usually uses a 3-back committee. 17 of his 18 seasons as a play caller, he's always had a committee. Now, keep in mind, a lot of those seasons were with the Patriots with Tom Brady. And maybe things are different with this new regime, right? With this new Mike Vrabel-led head coach. Maybe instead of sticking to a committee and just really sticking to that, maybe they do just see that Trevion Henderson gives them the best opportunity to win. Because keep in mind, with those Patriots teams, I don't need to get deep into this, but with those Patriots teams, you had like one-trick ponies at the running back, right? Think about like LeGarrette Blount. James White was always like a fantastic third down back, but that's really all he was good at. He wasn't really a good between the tackles runner, while Trevion is different, dude. He is everything in one running back. So that does it for Ramondre. He's somebody that I would be avoiding. Now, keep in mind, with all these names, if you're going to avoid one of these guys, it probably means you want to draft the dude that I mentioned, right? So you probably want to draft Hampton. You probably want to draft Trevion Henderson. And the next name on the list is Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon is a little bit of a tough one, right? Because I know a lot of people love Joe Mixon. I think he's the perfect type of running back to love, right? He's big, he's physical, he grinds out tough yards. But Joe Mixon has been on a decline, man. And last season's numbers are a little bit, last year's numbers kind of misdirect us in terms of his final production, right? So Joe Mixon got off to an absolute hot start, dude. 30 carries for 159 and a touchdown in week 1. He gets injured weeks 3 to 5, doesn't play, but then comes back, explodes with 27, 26, 23, 16, 17, 35 fantasy points. But after week 11, Joe Mixon just disappears, bro. Absolutely disappears. After week 11, or after the week, to be generous to him, after the week 14 bye, he was the RB 39 overall. So in the fantasy playoffs, he really hurt people. He only had 6 points per game in half PPR. And keep in mind, they do bring in Nick Chubb. They draft Woody Marks, who, okay, he was drafted late in the draft, but he's a nice little speedy running back, somebody that can provide them a little bit of explosiveness. And they're going to have one of the worst O-lines in 2024, projected by a lot of people, right? They lose Laramie Tunsil, their left tackle. So he was their one bright spot, or he should have been their one bright spot, and they lose him, right? So this offensive line, a lot of people are very down on this team, man. So here's my thesis for Joe Mixon. I don't think he's going to lose the starting job outright, but I do think he's going to lose the massive volume share that he had, the stranglehold on the job. I do think bringing in Nick Chubb, he's going to be involved. Nick Chubb's going to get his carries, man. He's a very good running back, obviously coming off of very bad injuries. Let's see what Nick Chubb is, if he can be anywhere back to what he used to be. If Nick Chubb can be 60% of what he used to be, that's a more explosive and efficient running back than Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has been on an efficiency decline since his rookie season. He's always been a volume-based running back, and we saw that with the Texans as well, right? He was getting like 25 carries a game, barely hitting 100 yards. So, that's exactly 4 yards per carry. That's not ideal, right? Now, you can chalk it up to the O-line, but as a 28-year-old running back, it's just a little bit concerning. I think we do have a nasty committee here. So that's why I think he's going to lose his starting job, right, quote unquote. And the next player on this list, we'll speed this up a little for you guys just to get you guys out of here. Travis Etienne's the next player. Also a pretty easy thesis here. He's been on a decline since his rookie season. He had a 60 offensive PFF grade last season with a 62 in running. So he's an inefficient runner. RB 37 finish in fantasy points per game in 2024. 14 touches for 57 total yards after week 9. He was just completely outplayed by Tank Bigsby. And he ranked outside the top 30 in key tackle breaking metrics. So 8% missed tackle rate. That's not good. That's not Travis Etienne that we remember, right? The Travis Etienne that we remember is a dude who's very good in space, very dynamic, shifty, quick, can hit the edge, can break away big runs. But we did not see that, man. We saw a different Travis Etienne. And now here's the situation. Tank Bigsby, who outplayed Travis Etienne already last season, is more of a traditional between the tackles running back. He was better than Travis Etienne at both of those, right? Which is crazy, right? Because in 2023, look at this chart here by Ian Harditz, shout out. 67th in yards per carry, 59th in yards after contact, 26th in tackles avoided, 64th in explosive run rate. And then in 2024, Tank Bigsby's 22nd, 3rd, 5th, and 22nd in all of those metrics. So absolute turnaround, compound V. And another fucking interesting stat is total rushing yards after contact per carry in 2024. Tank Bigsby led the NFL above Bucky Irving, who was also fantastic, right? 3.02 versus 3.3 by Tank Bigsby. And another reason why Travis Etienne, why his starting job is not safe one bit, is Bashal Tutin. You guys have probably heard a lot about Bashal Tutin. Bashal Tutin is an absolute freak of nature, athletic specimen, man. Let me just list a couple of stats for you guys. So career yards after contact per attempt. Bijan Robinson is in the 99th percentile, with Bashal Tutin being in the 96th percentile. So he's in Bijan Robinson territory, almost. In terms of career yards after contact, bro, after. This is a small, undersized, very fast and explosive running back. Career missed tackles forced per touch, Bijan 99th percentile, Bashal Tutin 98th percentile. Athletic sport score, 99th percentile by Bashal Tutin versus 84th by Bijan. So he's actually more athletic than Bijan, and then he competes with him in some of those other tackle breaking metrics, right? So this dude is one of the most athletic running backs that we've seen in a very long time. This coaching staff, this Liam Cohen run coaching staff, targeted Bashal Tutin. He was a dude that they looked at in the draft and they wanted him, bro. I think they see him as their Bucky Irving. I think they see him as actually a better version of Bucky Irving. Maybe not as elusive or as better after contact, but in terms of speed, bro, this dude brings a lot of explosive play potential. And if he carves himself a third down role early with Tank Bigsby stealing a lot of early down work from ETN, I just don't see how there's any space for ETN to be a dude in this backfield. I think there's a chance that he gets phased out or traded completely. So those are four guys, man. Those are four running backs. I'm just going to be hands off. I don't want to be in the situation where even if they help me early in the season and they get me a couple of wins, I don't want to be in a situation where I lose a running back fully because they get benched or traded, or they get injured, because a lot of these guys usually are a little bit older as well on this list. So let me know what you guys think, man. Those are the four names. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you liked it, man. If you did, why don't you give me a like, and if you're new here, subscribe if you want to catch more of this stuff. But I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. Peace.